Have you ever heard about one of the most cursed places on earth forbidden by our Prophet Muhammad? There is a very interesting place where Muslims are forbidden to enter, and this mysterious city lies right in the heart of the Red Lands of Arabian Al-Ulayu. Will hear shocking stories about those who went to this place and what happened in the past, and it will send chills down your spine. You will also hear for the first time about the decisions made by the Saudi Arabian government and its king and the new developments. You won't believe how bad it is. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel so that our efforts can reach more people. If you are ready, let's start this frightening journey. There are some lands where even time steps back and silence rules over everything. There are some valleys where even the wildest winds lose their voice. In the northwest of Arabian, the red heart of the deserta city, sleeps Al-Ula. For those who see it from afar, it looks silent, but for those who pass close by, it is the name of a deep fear. These lands, where a forgotten scream found a body, tell a story that gets deeper the more it stays silent. This area, cursed and forbidden by our Prophet Muhammad, lies at the heart of Al-Ula. This place is located in the northwest of Saudi Arabia, about 300 kilometers north of Medina and only 670 kilometers away from the Kaaba. Its surface area is more than 22,500 square kilometers. Between the desert, the rocks, and the valleys, this place hides the silent traces of history. It carries both the glory of the past and the anger of Allah at the same time, like a silent graveyard carved into the stones. Madain Salih, also known as Hijr, still stands. It is the homeland of the people of Thamuth nation of Prophet Salih, known for their amazing skills and power in carving mountains, which we can still see today. Today nothing remains except the great structures and monuments they carved into mountains and rocks. A huge earthquake that happened thousands of years ago also weakened the protective underground layer of the Earth there. Today scientists have discovered a giant ozone hole in the atmosphere exactly above this destroyed area. Because of this, the region now faces a higher risk of earthquake damage, skin diseases, cancer, and natural storms. For centuries, there were people who dared to step into these lands, sometimes adventurers, sometimes merchants, and sometimes curious travelers, but most of them returned with regret. According to stories, some lost their minds after spending just one night here, and some did not survive until morning. Those who managed to return were speechless when they tried to explain what they had seen. Their eyes grew wide with fear, but no words came out. Because of this, even the caravans starving in the desert preferred not to enter the borders of this place. This land was not meant for the living. If you want, let's continue with what happened when our Prophet Muhammad passed through this area with his companions later, especially towards the end of the video. You will be very surprised by what you hear. The heat was striking like a sharp dagger with every step. Their feet sank deeper into the sand, and every breath burned their lungs. The companions, following the messenger of Allah step by step, were moving with patience and faith. At the same time, they were being tested with hunger and thirst. This was not an ordinary journey. It would later be known as the expedition of Tabuk, a story of resistance and faith. They walked for days. At night, they slept shivering under the stars. Their water was running out, and it was hard to find wells around. Then these ancient rocks appeared before them. Al-Ula. Prophet entered the borders of this silent valley with his companions, walking heavily. The traces of the people who once lived there were carved into the stones, but there was no sign of life, only shadows, and a heavy feeling from the past remained. The companions, thirsty and tired, could not believe their eyes when they saw the wells near the valley. Some started pulling up water with their hands, some filled their containers, some drank, some mixed water with flour to make dough, and some baked bread. It looked like a blessing, but the ground was trembling softly like a silent warning. No one noticed it. Suddenly a voice echoed through the silence. It was sharp, commanding, and deep. All eyes turned to the messenger of Allah. He was looking at the stones of the valley with darkened eyes, a heavy sadness and deep worry on his face. The companions dropped their water containers. The hands kneading the dough stopped. The whole army fell into a deep silence. The Prophet, with heavy steps, approached the well. It was as if these lands had whispered an unseen truth to him with a trembling voice. Say, "Do not drink the water of this land. Do not make dough with it and feed any dough you have already made to the animals." Fear filled the hearts of the companions. At once everyone moved in a panic. Water containers were emptied onto the ground, and the dough was thrown away. No one wanted to make a mistake on land, where the messenger of Allah warned with such deep concern. The army became completely silent, like a heavy shadow resting over the ground. The Prophet saw, without taking his eyes off. The rocks continued from now onven if you must pass through this land pass by it while crying, and if you cannot cry then pass with fear in your heart. It was as if a hidden mourning was echoing between the rocks. The companions lowered their heads and moved forward with heavy steps, their hearts full of deep fear. This was no ordinary valley, but what was the secret of this land that even the prophet felt fear? What secret was hidden behind the silent stones of Al-Alado? Find the answer. We need to go far back in Toledo. The time of Prophet Salihit was about 4,000 years ago. In these burning lands, which we now call Al-Ulathir, lived a nation that carved cities out of rocks. They had reached the peak of wealth, glory, and power. This nation was called the people of Thamud. They lived after their ancestors, the people of Ad, and ruled over this wide land. They were so advanced that they built palaces, temples, and tombs by carving the stones of the Vayin, the middle of the desert. They created a civilization from stone, and these structures still stand today, but the hands that built them would later face a terrible end. Why? At first, the people of the mud believed in the oneness of Allah, but over time, their wealth and luxury made them arrogant. Pride ruled over their hearts. They made idols and started to bow down to the stones they had carved. Allah chose Prophet Salih from among them to guide them. The Holy Quran says, remember Allah who made you succeed the people of Adan, settled you in the land. You build palaces on its plains and carve houses in the mountains. So remember the blessings of Allah and do not spread corruption on the earth. Prophet Salih called his people back to Tawhid, worship only Allah, but they mocked him, using a miracle as an excuse. They said, bring a pregnant she-camel 10 months old out of this rock. If you do that, we will believe you. Salih prayed to his Lord, and the miracle happened. The rock split open, and from inside came a huge bright-eyed white she-camel. Everyone saw this miracle with their own eyes. Some people believed in the prophethood of Salih, but most of them rejected him. This camel was not an ordinary animal. It was sent by Allah, and a rule was set by Allah for Itone day. The camel would drink from the people's water source, and the next day the people could use it. At first, the people of Samud agreed to this, but soon they started to feel uncomfortable. Why should we share our water with a camel? Should a camel have the water that all these people need? The rebels made a plan to get rid of the camel. 9 men gathered secretly at night. When darkness fell, they came close to the camel and cruelly killed Allah's miracle. When Prophet Salih heard what happened, it fell into deep silence and said to his people, you have 3 days left. On the first day your faces will turn yellow, on the second day they will turn red, on the third day they will turn black, and on the fourth day the punishment will come to you. The first day came and their faces turned yellow. On the second day they turned red. On the third day they turned black. Now everyone knew what was coming, but it was too late. Prophet Salih left the city with the believers. When the sun rose that morning, a terrible sound came from the sky. The ground cracked and the mountain shook. The hands that once carved the rocks had now prepared their own graves. The Quran says a mighty blast seized the man. They fell dead on their knees. The people of the mud were destroyed that day. Neither their wealth nor their stone palaces nor the buildings carved into mountains could save them. This story is not just a part of history. It is also a warning. Every nation that was destroyed had something in common. They forgot the one who gave them blessings and ignored the warnings, but were the people of Thamud only ones who ignored the warnings. Get ready, because what you will hear knows shocking. The area where the Prophet Muhammad saw Warneto not even drink its water, and if you must interdo so while crying. This very place is now being turned into a center of entertainment. The Saudi Arabian government, where once the bodies of a destroyed nation lay under the sky after a divine punishment. Now festival tents are being built. The music of world-famous DJs dances and screams off young party Corsair shaking the skies. All of this started when Saudi Arabia decided to turn the Al-Ula region into a tourism and entertainment center under the Vision 2030 project. It is quite interesting that they chose exactly this region for such a project. Today, more and more luxury hotels and entertainment facilities are being built in Al-Ula. The area is now filled with electronic music festivals, light shows, and different entertainment activities. It feels as if no one is left who asks, how can people be so unaware? The sacred warnings are now forgotten, yet the one who warned was the messenger of Allah. For the modern world, history has become just a decoration. It's as if the messages sent by Allah are nothing more than old stories, but the way of Allah never changes. What is happening today in these lands is not a festival, it is a kind of forgetting. Muslims must always stay tightly connected to the teachings of Islam and avoid every kind of event that goes against it. May Allah guide these people. The right path and keep us firm on the straight path even when the planets are together. If you still feel alone, this channel is made just for you. In this wide universe, this video needs your support so that it does not get lost among millions of other videos on YouTube and can reach more people like you. Please like, subscribe, and leave a commento. Help us reach more hearts.